Using wireframes to get feedback about the front end of a system is usually a good idea, even though managers often see any time spent working on wireframes as an avoidable cost. UX-driven design doesn't probably bring direct money to a project, but it surely helps saving a lot. Here is an illustrative story. After an endless series of meetings, both the team and the customer agree that all aspects of the website to build have been properly analyzed and clarified. The requirements have been written in stone, and no bad surprises are in order. Now, suppose that the website needs a login page. Everybody knows how a login page may look like, isn't it? So, sure, no problems, we'll do it. And developers start coding and at some point deploy. The customer looks at the result and she mostly likes what she's got and will surely love it once fully done. What? Isn't it done yet? It turned out that the login page has no support for social authentication. Why wasn't that mentioned in the requirements? Nobody knows why, but as a matter of fact, had wireframes for the login page been drawn, the point would have likely been raised at an earlier time. In this demo, then, we will see a couple of things. How to create animated wireframes using Balsamiq, and how to share wireframes with customers as PDF files. Welcome to Balsamiq. With this product, you essentially create mockups. I've been using in this module other terms, wireframes, sketches, mockup, but in the context of Balsamiq, everything, the main artifact you create is called a mockup, and a mockup can be skinned in a couple of ways. It can be skinned as a sketch, as you can see now on screen, or as a wireframe. But as you can see, the content remains the same, just the graphical aspect changes. In Balsamiq, you create a mockup simply selecting elements, visual artifacts from the palette. You drag and drop them onto the drawing surface until you create the design, the drawing, the screen that you have in mind. Once you have dropped elements on the surface, by simply clicking on the element, you can change settings like position, size, colors, font, and many other things. The most interesting aspect of Balsamiq is how to create animated wireframes that we can also call storyboard. So let's see how to give some life to this otherwise static mockup. Imagine that when users click on the sign in button, we want to move to another screen that illustrates the subsequent page. And let's say that the subsequent page is another mockup in the same project called Welcome. So going back here, we just click on sign in, and then there is a links menu from where we can select either an external web address or, more likely, the name of another mockup in the same project, in this case, Welcome. Let's take a look at a more sophisticated example. Imagine we have a screen like this that illustrates a social login page. There is something that represents a tabbed interface, and there is a link associated with the standard tab. If we click here, the next thing that the user will see once he goes through the PDF version of this mockup is the content of the login standard, so the previous page that we saw a moment ago. Back here, there is another link associated with the Facebook button, which drives users to the Facebook login mockup, where we have a screenshot of the Facebook typical login page inserted in the context of a browser, a mock-up browser window element with an artificial login button with a link that drives to the confirmation page we want to present, and from here straight back to the welcome page. When all of the mockups have been saved from the file menu of Balsamic, you simply export all or selected mockups to PDF. What you get is a plain old PDF file on which users can add their own comments. The customer receives the PDF, for example, via email and opens it up with any program that can read PDF files. Clickable areas are highlighted, and all the customer has to do is follow the links and navigate into what appears a scanty and schematic version of the presentation. In this way, the customer can quickly start forming an idea about how the real thing could work. Here is a longer process, the Facebook sign in, for example. From the Facebook login page, the user is sent to the confirmation page for the email address, and from there to the home page of the site. If the user chooses instead the standard authentication via a username and password, the process to the home page is even simpler. Users get familiar PDF files from the team, can quickly form an idea about the steps involved in the various workflows, and just because all they get are plain PDF files, they can add comments and easily share their feedback via email. In some business scenarios, a plain storyboard may not be enough, and customers might want to see a rich and more interactive prototype. When it comes to this, Balsamic